My son yelled at me and pushed me, so I gathered my things and left. The next day, my DIL threw a loud party and shouted, "Finally, the old loser is gone, we are free." But because of the crowd of guests, she didn't see the door slowly open. And then she turned pale because it was me standing right behind her. Before we continue, we ask you to hit the hype button, subscribe, and like the video to help the channel grow. Tell us which city you are from in the comments. We would like to get to know our audience better. The hallway was narrow. That's what I remember most. Not wide enough for two men to stand shoulder to shoulder without one giving way. Brandon didn't give way. "You don't get it, do you?" His face was red, that vein in his forehead pulsing the way it always did when he'd worked himself into a state. "This is my house now, mine and Maddie's. We're done playing pretend." I stood there with my toolbox in one hand, the brass compass I'd carried since my service days clipped to my belt. I'd just finished checking the roof joists. Water damage from last month's storm. Simple fix. Nothing Brandon would have noticed until it cost him thousands. But I noticed. That's what I do. "Brandon, I don't care what you were doing." He stepped closer. Close enough that I could smell the energy drink on his breath, see the way his hands were shaking. "You need to leave. Now." I should have seen it coming. 31 years I'd known this kid, watched him grow from a baby who cried at shadows to a man who created his own. But I didn't see the shove until his palms hit my chest. It wasn't hard, wasn't meant to knock me down, just meant to move me, to make a point, to establish something he thought he needed to establish. But the toolbox swung, caught the door frame, and I heard the snap. The brass compass, the one my old sergeant had given me before I mustered out, broke clean off my belt and hit the floor. The glass face cracked straight down the middle. Brandon didn't even look at it. He was already turning away, pulling his phone from his pocket, probably ready to text Maddie about how he'd finally handled the old man. I bent down, picked up the compass. The needle still worked, still pointed north through the broken glass. I put it in my pocket. "I'll get my things," I said. He didn't answer, didn't turn around. Just walked back toward the living room where I could hear Maddie's voice rising and falling as she recorded one of her videos, that bright, fake cheerfulness she used when she was selling something. It took me 40 minutes to pack. I'd been living in their house for 8 months, ever since the landlord sold my building and the new owner wanted to renovate. Brandon had insisted. "It's temporary, Dad. Just until you find something." Evelyn had warned me. She'd said, "They want something. I don't know what yet, but they want something." She was right. She usually was. I counted my steps as I carried boxes to my car. Old habit from the building inspector days. Always count, always measure, always document. 17 steps from the bedroom to the front door. I made 6 trips. Noted the time, 4:47 p.m., noted the weather, overcast, temperature dropping, smelled like rain. Mrs. Chen from next door was watering her roses. She looked away when she saw me loading the car. That told me everything. The neighbors already knew. Brandon and Maddie had probably been talking about this for weeks. I didn't say goodbye. Just got in my car and drove. The Super 8 off Highway 14 had vacancies. $49 a night, continental breakfast, Wi-Fi that barely worked. I paid cash for a week. Evelyn called at 6:15 p.m. "He did it?" she asked. "He did it. Are you okay?" I looked at the broken compass on the motel nightstand. "I'm fine." "Rick, I'm fine, Ev, really." She was quiet for a moment. Then, "Maddie posted something. A party. Tomorrow night. At some loft downtown." Let me guess. Celebration? You could say that. I could hear the tightness in her voice. Evelyn had worked as a paralegal for 23 years. She knew how to keep her tone neutral, professional, even when she wanted to scream. But I'd been married to her for 32 years. I knew what that particular kind of quiet meant. "Send me the address," I said. The next evening, I drove downtown. The loft was in the Pearl District, converted warehouse, exposed brick, the kind of place that charged $3,000 a month for 800 square feet. The party was already in full swing when I arrived. Music thumping, voices spilling out onto the street, colored lights flashing in the windows. I parked across the street, watched. The front door was propped open with a rubber wedge, probably a fire code violation, but nobody was checking. People streamed in and out, young, dressed up, taking photos of each other against a backdrop that said "New Beginnings" in gold letters. I got out of my car, crossed the street. The door was wide open. I stood in the doorway. Nobody noticed me at first. The music was too loud, the crowd too focused on themselves. I recognized some of Brandon's friends. Tony from his courier days, that kid Jake who was always trying to start a podcast, a couple of girls who showed up in Maddie's videos sometimes. Then I saw Brandon. He was standing near the makeshift bar, holding court, laughing too loud at something someone said. He was wearing a new shirt, expensive, probably designer, definitely more than he could afford on his sporadic income. And there was Maddie, center of attention as always, phone in hand, recording. Her dress sparkled under the lights. She'd done something new with her hair. She raised her champagne glass. The crowd quieted. "I just want to say," she began, her voice pitched for the camera, "that this is the start of something amazing. We've been held back for so long, living under someone else's shadow, someone else's rules." Someone whooped. Someone else yelled, "Tell it!" Maddie's smile got wider. "Finally, the old loser is gone. We are free!" The crowd erupted, cheering, clapping, laughing. Brandon kissed her, dipped her like they were in a movie. Phones came up, capturing the moment. Nobody saw me. I watched the door slowly open wider as someone pushed past me to get inside, jostling me slightly. Then it swung closed again as they moved into the crowd. I'd seen enough. I turned and walked back to my car, got in, sat there in the dark. But I wasn't angry, not anymore. I was planning. The rental loft's address was burned into my memory, 1247 Northwest Marshall, Unit 304. I'd already walked the building during my inspector days, checked the elevator permits, reviewed the emergency exits, noted the security cameras in the lobby. 2 cameras, both aimed at the main entrance, both with blind spots near the mailboxes. I drove back to the motel and spread my notebook open on the bed. Started writing. Timestamps. Names of people I'd recognized. Details about the party setup. The borrowed glassware with rental stickers still on them. The champagne that was actually Prosecco. The backdrop that was made of foam board and wouldn't last the night. These were people playing pretend, playing rich, playing successful. But the game was about to change. My phone buzzed. "Evelyn, did you go?" I went. "And?" She said her line. Exactly what you told me she'd say. Evelyn exhaled. "Brandon's posting about some event. Community self-defense night at that gym on Burnside. Says he's going to make a show out of you." I felt something settle in my chest. Something cold and precise. "When?" "Next Thursday, 7 p.m. It's one of those open gym things where anyone can sign up for sparring demos. There's going to be an MC, live crowd, people filming." "A stage," I said. "What?" "A stage where everyone understands what's happening. No paperwork, no charts, just behavior everyone can see." Evelyn was quiet for a moment. Then, "You're really going to do this?" "Yes." "Rick, we have to be smart. Everything has to be legal. Everything has to be above board. We can't give them anything to use against us." "I know. I'm serious. No breaking and entering. No stolen documents. No hacking into accounts. Nothing that crosses a line." "Evelyn, let me finish." Her voice had that paralegal edge now, that tone she used when she was building a case. "If we're going to do this, we do it with consent. We do it with permissions. We do it in public spaces with clear access rights. We use their own words, their own behavior, their own public posts. Nothing private, nothing illegal. Understood?" "Understood." "Good. Because I've already started pulling venue rules and waiver forms for that gym, and I've been going through Brandon's social media. He's been very talkative. I smiled despite myself. Has he now? Oh yes, very cocky, very public. He posted a video today. Want to hear it? Play it. There was a shuffling sound. Then Brandon's voice came through, tinny but clear. Community self-defense night next Thursday. I'm taking on the old-timer. Gonna be hilarious. Don't blink or you'll miss me putting him on his knees. The video had been posted to his public account. 14,000 followers, 237 likes already, 63 comments, most of them hyping him up. Save that, I said. Already did. And Rick? There's more. Maddie's been posting too. She's treating this like some kind of publicity event. Countdown posts, hype reels. She even made a hashtag. What hashtag? Old timer down. I laughed. Actually laughed. It felt strange in my throat, rusty. They're making this too easy. They are, but we still need to be careful. I'm going to contact the gym tomorrow, make sure they allow recording, make sure there's proper consent for anyone who participates. I'll also check on the MC, see if they do those fighter introduction things, where they play sound bites. You think they will? It's standard for these kinds of events. Gets the crowd excited. 6 seconds or less, usually clips from pre-fight interviews or public statements. All above board, all consented. I thought about Brandon's voice. Gonna be hilarious. Putting him on his knees. I thought about Maddie's voice. Finally, the old loser is gone. We are free. Yeah, I said. Get that consent. Get everything in writing. I will. What are you going to do? I'm going to train. The line went quiet for a moment. Then Evelyn said, very softly, Don't get hurt, Rick. Please. I won't. Promise me. I promise. After we hung up, I sat there for a long time, looking at my hands. They were 58 years old, scarred from tools and roof work, and 1,000 small accidents. But they were steady, and they remembered things. I'd boxed in the service. Nothing professional, just the company matches, the smokers they'd put on to keep morale up. But I'd been good. Fast hands, patient footwork, and a chin that could take a hit. That was 30 years ago, but muscle memory was a funny thing. It didn't forget. The next morning, I drove to the gym. Knockout Fitness, a grungy place on East Burnside that smelled like sweat and rubber and dreams. The kind of place where fighters still trained on heavy bags held together with duct tape. The kid at the front desk looked up from his phone. Help you? I want to sign up for the open sparring night, Thursday. He blinked, looked me over. You serious? Absolutely. Okay, man, it's $50 to register. You gotta sign a waiver, and you need to bring your own mouthguard and cup. We provide gloves and headgear. Fine. And, just so you know, there's usually a lot of young guys who show up for these things. Gets pretty rough sometimes. I'll manage. He shrugged, printed out a waiver, and slid it across the counter. I read it carefully. Liability release, assumption of risk, consent to filming for promotional purposes. Everything Evelyn would want to see. I signed it. Rick M., age 58. You want to train here before Thursday? The kid asked. We got day passes, $20. Yeah, starting tomorrow. I bought a week's worth of day passes. Then I drove to the sporting goods store and bought a mouthguard, a cup, and a pair of hand wraps. My knuckles ached just looking at them. That night, I started running. Nothing crazy. Just 3 miles through the quiet streets near the motel, my breath misting in the cold air. My legs protested, my lungs burned. But I kept going, because Thursday was coming. And I wasn't going to be the one on his knees. The gym became my church. Every morning at 6, I was there. Jumping rope, shadow boxing, working the heavy bag with combinations I hadn't thrown in decades, jab, jab, cross, slip left, hook to the body, step out. My shoulders screamed, my knuckles swelled, but the movements came back, muscle memory writing itself in sweat and impact. Tommy, one of the old trainers, watched me work the bag on my second day. He was 65, face like worn leather, hands that had wrapped more fighters than I could count. "You training for something specific?" he asked. "Yeah." "The open night?" "Yeah." He studied me for a moment, then nodded. "Your stance is good. Your hands are slow but straight. You fight smart?" "I used to." "Smart beats strong every time at your age. Don't try to match power. Make him miss, make him tired, make him stupid." "Thanks." "You're fighting someone younger, right?" "My son." Tommy's eyebrows went up. Then he just nodded. "Family stuff. Say no more." He walked away, then turned back. "Hey, don't die in there, okay? There's a doc in the house, but still." "I'll try not to." Meanwhile, Evelyn was running her own operation. She called me every evening with updates, her voice crisp and organized. "I spoke to the gym manager," she said on Tuesday night. "The MC is a guy named Dave Brennan. Used to do ring announcing for amateur cards. He confirmed they do 6-second sound bites for each fighter. Gets the crowd hyped. He's fine with using public social media posts as source material, as long as we provide the clips and timestamps." "Good. I've been going through everything Brandon and Maddie posted. There's gold here, Rick. Absolute gold. Brandon's been trash-talking you all week. Maddie's been posting countdown timers. I've pulled the best clips and sent them to Dave with written consent from both of us and proof that everything is from public accounts." "They're burying themselves." "They are." "And Rick, one more thing. Brandon posted another video this morning. Private account, but one of his friends screenshotted it and made it public. Brandon's in his car talking to someone off camera. He says, and I quote, 30 seconds to put him on his knees, maybe less. Old man's got nothing left." I felt my jaw tighten. "Send that to Dave, too." Already did. I ran harder that night. 5 miles instead of 3. My legs felt like concrete by the end, but I needed to push. Needed to know I could go the distance. Wednesday morning, I was at the gym before sunrise. The place was empty, except for Tommy and one other fighter, a woman doing rounds on the speed bag. I worked the mitts with Tommy, letting him call out combinations. 1, 2, 3, 2, slip, body, head, good, again. My lungs burned. My arms felt like lead, but I kept going. Afterward, Tommy handed me a water bottle. "You're looking better, tighter. How do you feel?" "Old." He laughed. "Yeah, well, you are old, but old don't mean done. You got a plan for tomorrow?" "Stay patient. Let him make mistakes." "Good. And if he rushes?" "Clinch, tie him up, make him carry my weight." "Better. Kid's gonna come at you hard, try to make a statement. Don't let him. First round is about survival and making him doubt. Second round is where you work. Third round..." He trailed off. "Third round?" "Third round is where you finish him, not with power, with the fact that he's broken and you're not." I nodded slowly. "Thanks, Tommy." "Don't thank me. Just don't embarrass yourself. Or me. I'm gonna tell people I trained you." That afternoon, Evelyn called. "Rick, there's something you need to see." "What?" "Maddie just went live. Big production. She's at the loft with a bunch of her followers doing a predictions segment about tomorrow night. She's got a custom shirt made that says, 'Old Timer Down,' and she's selling them." "You're kidding." "I'm not. She's already sold 40, $25 each." I did the math. $1,000. On shirts, mocking me. "Let her sell them," I said. "The more people who wear them tomorrow, the better." "Rick, trust me. When this is over, those shirts are going to mean something very different." Evelyn was quiet for a moment. Then, "You sound different. Calmer." "I am calm." "Are you sure about this?" "Yes." "Okay. I'll be there tomorrow. Front row if I can get it." "Good. I want you to see this." That night I didn't run. Didn't train. Just sat in the motel room and went through everything in my head. The venue layout, ring in the center, folding chairs in a semicircle, bar in the back. The timeline, doors at 6, first bouts at 7, main events around 8:30. The rules, 3 2-minute rounds, amateur scoring, referee stoppage if anyone's in danger. And the people. Brandon, cocky and overconfident. Maddie, filming everything for her followers. The crowd, primed to watch the old man fall. They had no idea what was coming. My phone buzzed. Text from Tommy. Get sleep, eat breakfast, don't do anything stupid before the fight, see you tomorrow. I texted back, thanks. Then I turned off the light and lay there in the dark, listening to the traffic outside. My hands didn't shake. My heart didn't race. I was ready. Thursday arrived cold and gray, the kind of November morning that makes you question every decision. I ate breakfast at a diner near the motel, eggs, wheat toast, black coffee. The waitress tried to make small talk. I smiled and nodded and didn't hear a word she said. My mind was already at the gym. I checked my phone while I ate. Brandon had posted another video overnight. I watched it with the sound off at first, just studying his face. He was in his bathroom, flexing, showing off the tattoo on his shoulder, some tribal design he'd gotten when he turned 25. His mouth was moving fast, animated, confident. I turned the sound on. Tomorrow night, people. Tomorrow night, the old man gets a reality check. I've been training my whole life for this. He's been, sitting in a lawn chair, drinking beer? This is going to be embarrassing. For him. Comments below were eating it up. Can't wait. Rip, old timer. Somebody call the ambulance in advance. I put the phone away, finished my eggs, left a good tip. The morning stretched out empty in front of me. I couldn't train. That would just burn energy I'd need later. Couldn't sit still. That would let my mind wander into places I didn't want it to go. So I drove, not aimlessly, never aimlessly. I drove the routes Brandon would likely take from the loft to the gym, noted the shortcuts, the one-ways, the delivery bays and construction zones, old inspector habits, know the terrain, know the angles, know where someone might make a mistake. The gym was on East Burnside, right at the edge where the neighborhood transitions from trendy cafes to auto shops and check-cashing stores. I parked across the street and watched for a while. A few people went in and out, regulars probably, getting their afternoon workouts in before the evening crowd arrived. I thought about going in early, warming up, getting a feel for the space. But Tommy had told me to rest, to save everything for tonight. So I just sat there, engine running, heat on low, watching the building like I was surveilling a job site. At 2:30, I drove to the sporting goods store. Checked my gear one more time, mouth guard, cup, hand wraps. Everything was good, everything was ready. But I bought an extra pair of wraps anyway, just in case. Backup plans. Always have backup plans. The clerk recognized me. Hey, you're the guy fighting his son tonight, right? Word traveled fast. Yeah. Man, that's wild. I saw the videos. Your kid talks a lot of trash. He does. You nervous? I thought about that. Was I nervous? My hands were steady. My breathing was calm. My mind was clear. No, not nervous. Good luck, man. Seriously. Hope you knock him out. Thanks. I got back in the car. It was 3:15. Still hours to go. I drove to a park near the river, found a bench, and sat. Watched joggers pass, watched dogs chase tennis balls, watched the gray water roll by under the bridges. My phone buzzed. Text from Tommy. How you doing? Good. Calm. Perfect. That's where you want to be. Meet me at the gym at 6. We'll wrap your hands, go over the plan one more time. See you then. Another buzz. Evelyn this time. I'm heading over early to get a good seat. You need anything? No, I'm good. Rick, I know I keep saying this, but be careful. Please. I will. I mean it. He's bigger than you. Younger. If it gets dangerous, it won't. But if it does, Evelyn, trust me. Long pause, then, I do. I'll see you tonight. At 4:30, my phone rang. Number I didn't recognize. Yeah? Mr. Mallory, this is Dave Brennan, the MC for tonight. Dave, what can I do for you? Just wanted to confirm I got your audio clips. Your wife sent over some great stuff. Public posts, all documented. This is going to make for a hell of an intro. Good. Listen, I gotta ask, this is really your son you're fighting? It is. Man, He trailed off. That's intense. You sure you want to go through with this? I'm sure. Okay, well, I'll keep it professional. 6 seconds per fighter, that's the rule. But heads up, the crowd's gonna be rowdy. Word got out about the family angle. We're expecting maybe 200 people, maybe more. We might have to turn people away at the door. 200. More than I'd thought. Good. The more witnesses, the better. That's fine. All right. Well, I'll keep it tight. Your bout's scheduled for 8:45. Third from last on the card. That's prime time, man. Everyone's warmed up. Everyone's paying attention. The energy's gonna be electric. Perfect. And Mr. Mallory, good luck. For what it's worth, I think what you're doing takes guts. Real guts. Thanks. I hung up. Sat there in the car for a moment, feeling the weight of it. 200 people, maybe more. 200 phones, 200 potential witnesses to what was about to happen. Brandon wanted a show. He was going to get one. At 5:30, I drove toward the gym. Traffic was thick, rush hour bleeding into evening. Everyone heading home, heading to dinner, heading to their Thursday night plans. Normal lives, normal rhythms. I took side streets, shortcuts I'd memorized. Burnside to 20th, down to Ankeny, cut through the industrial section where the warehouses still had loading docks and the streets smelled like diesel. That's when I saw the pickup truck. Rented. One of those lifted Rams with the dealer plates still in the window, chrome everywhere, tires that probably cost more than Brandon made in a month. And behind the wheel, face lit by his phone screen, was Brandon. He was texting while driving. Classic. Swerving slightly, overcorrecting, not paying attention to the road. He was going the wrong way, north on Ankeny when he should have been going west on Burnside. Probably trying to avoid traffic, probably convinced he knew a faster route. But he didn't know these streets like I did. I followed him. Not close enough to be obvious, but close enough to watch. He was frustrated. I could tell by the way he kept hitting the steering wheel, by the aggressive lane changes, by the way he cut off a sedan and didn't even notice the horn. He turned onto 19th, riding someone's bumper, clearly annoyed. His brake lights flashed erratically. Then he swung hard into the delivery bay behind the old Nordstrom building. Probably thought it was a through street, probably saw the opening and assumed it led somewhere useful. It led nowhere, only a loading dock, a dumpster, and a chain-link fence. I pulled up behind him, blocking the exit. Got out of my car. Brandon saw me in his mirror. His eyes went wide. Confusion first, then recognition, then something like anger. He jumped out of the truck, phone already in his hand, recording. "You following me now?" he shouted. "That's harassment, old man. That's straight-up stalking." I walked closer, hands loose at my sides. "I'm just driving, Brandon. Same as you." "Bull, you're following me. You blocked me in." "You turned into a street with no exit. That's not my fault. You need to move. Move your car. Right now. In a minute." I said, now. He stepped toward me, chest out, trying to use his height advantage, trying to intimidate me the way he probably intimidated other people. But I'd been in tighter spaces with angrier men. This was nothing. I didn't move. Just stood there, hands loose, weight balanced on both feet, watching him. Not aggressive, not passive, just present. "What are you gonna do, Brandon? Push me again?" His face went red. That vein in his forehead started pulsing. "You think this is a game? You think tonight's gonna go your way? You're delusional, old man. Completely delusional." Maybe. Not maybe. Definitely. Everyone's gonna be there. Everyone's gonna watch. And everyone's gonna see what you really are. Washed up, weak, pathetic. Okay. 30 seconds, old man. That's all it's gonna take. 30 seconds and you're on the ground and everyone sees that you're nothing. I smiled. just a little, just enough. See you in the ring, son. Then I turned around, got back in my car, and backed out of the bay. Left him standing there, phone still recording, probably already posting the video to his story with some caption about how I was scared, how I ran away, how tonight was going to be a massacre. Perfect. Let him think that. Let him believe his own hype. I parked 2 blocks from the gym and walked the rest of the way. The building was already buzzing. People hanging around outside, smoking, talking, checking their phones. Young crowd mostly, Brandon's demographic. Lots of athletic wear, lots of expensive sneakers, lots of that performative confidence that comes from youth and ignorance. A bouncer at the door was checking IDs and taking cover charges. $20 to get in. Steep for an amateur night, but people were paying it. Line stretched down the block. I walked past the line, showed the bouncer my registration paperwork. He checked it, nodded, waved me through. Inside, the space had been transformed. The ring was set up in the center of the gym floor, ropes freshly taped, canvas clean and tight. Folding chairs in a wide semicircle, already half filled. A table near the back selling beer and bottled water, cash only, long line. And everywhere, people wearing those shirts. Old Timer Down, in bold white letters across black fabric. They'd actually bought them, dozens of them, maybe hundreds. People were wearing them like team jerseys, like they were at a football game rooting for their favorite player. Maddie was near the ring, holding court, phone on a tripod, filming herself. Her makeup was perfect, her smile was wide, and she was wearing the shirt too. Custom version though, fitted, bedazzled across the chest, catching the lights. She was mid-sentence when I walked past. And honestly, this is going to be iconic. Like, this is the kind of moment that defines who you are, you know? Standing up, taking control, showing people you're not going to be held back by... She saw me. Stopped talking mid-word. Her smile faltered for just a second. Then she recovered, turned back to her phone, kept going. But I'd seen it. That flicker of uncertainty, that tiny crack in the performance. I kept walking, found the locker room in the back, a converted office space with benches and hooks on the walls. Tommy was there, wrapping someone's hands. A young fighter, maybe 22, nervous energy radiating off him. "You showed up," Tommy said. "Told you I would. How do you feel?" "Good. Not nervous?" "No." He studied me for a moment, then nodded to the kid. "Go warm up. I'll check on you in 10. The kid left. Tommy turned to me. "All right, let me see your hands." I held them out. He examined them, knuckles, wrists, fingers, like a mechanic checking an engine. "Swelling's down. That's good. You iced them last night?" "Yeah." "Good. Sit." I sat. He pulled out fresh hand wraps, white, clean, professional quality. Started wrapping my left hand first, methodical, precise, each loop exactly where it needed to be. "You remember the plan?" he asked. "Yeah. Weather the first rush, make him miss, make him doubt. And if he catches you clean? Cover up, clinch, don't panic." "Good, because he's gonna try to take your head off in the first 30 seconds. Guaranteed. He's been talking too much, hyping himself up too much. He needs the knockout to justify all that talk." "I know. So you survive that. You make him waste his energy. Then in round 2, you go to work. Nothing fancy. Just clean, technical boxing. Make him look slow. Make him look sloppy. And round 3? Tommy finished wrapping my left hand, started on the right. Round 3 is where you decide. If he's done, you press. If he's got anything left, you stay safe and win on points. But either way, you don't take unnecessary risks. This ain't about proving you're tough. We already know you're tough. This is about winning smart. Got it." He finished the right hand, tested the wraps, nodded. "Perfect. Now, you got about 40 minutes. Stay loose, stay warm, but don't burn energy. Shadow box if you need to, but keep it light." "Okay." Brandon's voice carried through the locker room before I saw him. Loud, hyped, surrounded by his crew. Tony, Jake, a couple of other guys I recognized from the party, plus some people I didn't know. His entourage, his hype men. They came in like a storm, noise and energy and that aggressive, performative masculinity that passes for confidence when you're in your 20s. Brandon saw me, his eyes locked on mine. "You ready to get embarrassed, old man?" I didn't answer, just kept my hands resting on my knees, breathing steady. That's what I thought. Can't even talk now. Too scared. Tommy stepped between us, not aggressive, just present. "Save it for the ring." Brandon laughed. Yeah, we'll save it for the ring, where everyone can watch." His crew laughed with him. High fives and chest bumps and all that performative brotherhood that means nothing when things get real. I tuned them out, focused on my breathing, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Slow, controlled, preparing my body, preparing my mind. But I could hear them. Couldn't help it. The locker room wasn't that big. Brandon to one of his guys, "This is gonna be so easy. Like embarrassingly easy." Tony, "You gonna let him get a punch in? Make it look fair?" Brandon laughing, Maybe I'll let him touch me once, just so he can tell people he landed something." Jake, "What if he's actually trained?" Brandon, "He hasn't. Look at him. Dude's just sitting there, probably already regretting this." And then, quieter, to someone I couldn't see, maybe a coach, maybe just another friend. "He's a joke. I'll humiliate him. 30 seconds, maybe less, and he's done." I didn't react, didn't look up, just kept breathing. But Tommy heard it too. He leaned in close. "You hear that?" "Yeah. Remember it. When you're tired in round 2, when your arms feel heavy, when you want to quit, remember what he just said." I nodded. Around us, the locker room energy was building. Other fighters coming in, getting ready, wrapping hands, putting on headgear. The card was filling up. The crowd outside was getting louder. It was almost time. The crowd noise was building. I could feel it through the walls. That low rumble of voices and anticipation, punctuated by occasional shouts and laughter. The early bouts had started. Quick 2-round exhibitions, beginners mostly, guys who wanted to test themselves without serious risk. Tommy had me moving. Light shadowboxing, stretches, keeping my body warm but not burning energy I'd need later. "Remember," he said, "he's gonna come fast. First 30 seconds, he's gonna try to prove something. You weather that storm, you win." "Got it. And if he catches you, cover up, clinch, make him work." "Good. This ain't about pride. This is about making it to round 3. The locker room door opened. Dave Brennan stuck his head in. "Rick Mallory?" "Yeah. You're up in 20 minutes. Main event's right after the next bout." "Thanks." He looked at Brandon, who was bouncing on his toes, shaking out his arms. "Brandon, you're up same time. Let's make this a good show, gentlemen." Brandon grinned. "Oh, it'll be a show." Dave left. The door closed. The next 20 minutes crawled. I sat on the bench, breathing steady, hands resting on my knees. Around me, Brandon's crew was getting louder, more animated, feeding off each other's energy. Then Dave was back. "Gentlemen, it's time." The walk to the ring felt longer than it was. The crowd noise hit me like a wall as soon as we left the locker room. Cheers, jeers, phones held high, everyone wanting to capture the moment. I saw Evelyn in the 3rd row. She wasn't smiling, just watching, her face calm and composed. She gave me a single nod. I climbed through the ropes. The canvas was worn but solid under my feet. Tommy followed me up, carrying a water bottle and towel. Across the ring, Brandon was already there, bouncing, shadowboxing, playing to the crowd. So many shirts. Old-timer down, everywhere I looked. Dave Brennan stepped into the ring, microphone in hand. The crowd quieted. "Ladies and gentlemen, We've got something special for you tonight. A real family affair. In the red corner, weighing in at 195, age 31, Brandon the Hammer. Mallory. The crowd erupted. Brandon raised his gloves, soaking it in. And in the blue corner, weighing in at 178, age 58. Dave paused, letting the moment build. Rick, the old-timer Mallory. Mixed reaction, some cheers, probably people who respected the guts it took to step in at my age, but mostly jeers, mostly laughter, mostly people who'd already decided how this was going to end. Then Dave said, "Before we begin, let's hear what these fighters have said in the lead-up to tonight's bout." The speakers crackled. 6 seconds of audio, crystal clear. Brandon's voice. "Finally, the old loser is gone. We are free." Wait, that was Maddie. Dave had played Maddie's clip. The crowd realized it at the same moment I did. Some people laughed. Some people looked confused. A few people looked at Maddie, who was near the front row, her face suddenly not quite as confident. Then Brandon's voice. 30 seconds to put him on his knees, maybe less. The crowd ate it up. Cheering, chanting, 30 seconds! 30 seconds! Dave stepped back. The referee, a stocky guy with gray hair and a no-nonsense expression, called us to the center. "Clean fight, gentlemen. Protect yourself at all times. Touch gloves." Brandon stared at me, didn't raise his gloves. I raised mine anyway, let them hover in the air for a moment, then lowered them. The referee nodded. Corners. I walked back to my corner. Tommy leaned in. "Survive the first rush. Make him pay in round 2. "Got it." The bell rang. Brandon came at me like a freight train. No setup, no strategy, just pure forward pressure. He threw a wild right hand that I slipped, then a left hook that glanced off my shoulder. I circled left, keeping distance, using my jab to measure. Not hard shots, just touches, keeping him at range. He rushed again. This time I clinched, tied up his arms, pressed my weight into him. The crowd booed. The referee separated us. "Box," the ref said. Brandon was breathing hard already. 30 seconds in and his mouth was open. I jabbed. Jab, jab. Touch his forehead, touch his nose. Nothing powerful, just points, just frustration. He swung again, a huge looping right that left him completely off balance. I stepped inside, hooked him lightly to the body, stepped out. Clean. Technical. The crowd wasn't cheering as loud now. Round 1 ended. I walked back to my corner, breathing steady. Tommy gave me water. "Perfect," he said. "He's already gassed. Now you make him look silly." Across the ring, Brandon was gulping air. His corner was shouting at him, telling him to slow down, to pace himself. But I could see it in his eyes. He was panicking. The bell rang for round 2. This time, I pressed. Not hard, not reckless, but I took the center of the ring. Brandon backed up, pawing with his jab, trying to keep me away. I slipped outside, touched him with a right hand. Not a power shot, just a tap. Clean, then another, and another. The crowd was quieter now. No more chants. Just watching. Brandon tried to clinch. I pushed him off. He tried to rush. I sidestepped, let him stumble into the ropes. The referee was watching closely now, watching Brandon's legs, his eyes, his breathing. Midway through the round, Dave's voice came over the speakers again. 6 seconds. Maddie's voice. "We are free!" The irony hit the crowd like a slap. A few people laughed. Not at me, at them. Brandon heard it too. He glanced toward Maddie just for a second, and I saw something crack in him. The realization that this wasn't going the way he'd planned. I didn't capitalize, didn't need to, just kept working, jab, jab, move, touch, touch, turn, making him chase, making him miss, making him look exactly like what he was. Outclassed. The bell rang. Round 2 done. Tommy was grinning. "One more round. Finish this." I nodded. Looked across at Brandon. He was slumped on his stool, chest heaving, gloves resting on his knees. His corner was trying to rally him, but the energy was gone. The crowd was starting to turn. I could feel it. The jeers were fewer. The respect was building. This was it. The third round bell cut through the noise like a knife. I stood, rolled my shoulders, and walked to the center of the ring. Brandon pushed off his stool slowly, his legs heavy, his confidence shattered somewhere in the middle of round 2. The referee looked at both of us. Ready? I nodded. Brandon nodded, but his eyes said something else. They said he knew. Box. I didn't rush. Didn't need to. I walked forward, patient, hands up, weight balanced. Brandon circled away, trying to buy time, trying to find an answer that wasn't there. I cut off the ring. Stepped left when he went left, angled right when he tried to escape. Basic footwork. The kind you learn in week 1. But it worked because he was too tired to counter it, too frustrated to think straight. He threw a jab, weak, no snap. I slipped it and touched him with a straight right. Just a touch. On the chin. His head snapped back slightly. The crowd murmured. I followed with a jab of my own, then another, setting up, building, not rushing, just working. Brandon backed into the corner. Bad position. He knew it was bad, but he couldn't get out. I was in front of him, controlling distance, controlling pace. Then the speakers crackled one more time. 6 seconds. Brandon's own voice. 30 seconds! On his knees! The crowd exploded, not with cheers, with boos, with jeers, with the sudden collective realization that they'd been watching the wrong story. Brandon's face went red. He pushed off the ropes, wild, throwing punches with no setup, no technique, just rage and embarrassment. I sidestepped, let him swing at air, let him expend the last of his energy on nothing. Then the referee called time. 10 seconds left in the round. Dave Brennan's voice came through the speakers. Folks, before the final bell, the old timer has something to say. A microphone appeared at the ropes. Tommy grabbed it, handed it to me. The crowd went silent. I looked across the ring at Brandon, looked at Maddie in the front row, her phone still up, still recording, looked at all those shirts, all that confidence, all that mockery. And I said, I'm not an old loser. I'm your father. Tonight you learn to respect simple things. I handed the mic back. The bell rang. Brandon charged. One last desperate attempt to salvage something, anything. Chin high, hands low, running on empty. I stepped inside. Touch, touch. 2 quick jabs to get his hands up. Sidestep, putting him off balance. Straight to the body, a clean shot. Just enough force to drive the air from his lungs. Shoulder check on the exit. A legal, controlled push as I turned away. His feet tangled. His gloves dropped. He went down to one knee, sliding, off balance, the canvas catching his weight. The referee stepped between us, started counting. 1, 2, 3. The crowd was on its feet, phones everywhere, capturing every angle. 4, 5, 6. Brandon looked up at me, and for the first time, maybe the first time in years, he really saw me, not the old man who lived in his house, not the father he could push around. Me. 7, 8, 9. He tried to stand, got 1 foot under him, but his legs gave out. He dropped back down. 10. The referee waved it off, turned to me, raised my arm. The crowd noise was deafening. Not all cheers, some people were still booing, still angry that their narrative had collapsed. But enough cheers, enough respect, enough recognition that they'd just watched something real. I walked to my corner. Tommy wrapped his arms around me. That's how it's done, old man. That's how it's done. I pulled off my gloves, reached into my corner bag, found the brass compass, the one Brandon had broken when he pushed me in that hallway. I held it up. The needle still worked, still pointed north through the cracked glass. The crowd saw it. Didn't understand maybe, not completely, but they understood enough. Symbols speak louder than words sometimes. I clipped it to my waistband, looked across the ring one more time. Brandon was sitting on his stool, head down, his corner standing around him in awkward silence. Maddie was still filming, but her hands were shaking, her expression no longer triumphant. And all around the room, people were looking at their shirts, those old-timer down shirts, with new eyes. Some people were laughing at themselves. Some people were pulling them off. Some people were already posting about what they'd just witnessed. I climbed through the ropes, stepped down to the floor. Evelyn was there, waiting. She didn't say anything, just took my hand. We walked out of the gym together. Behind us, the noise continued. People arguing, people explaining, people already spinning the story their own way. But it didn't matter what they said, didn't matter what they posted or shared or believed, because the truth was simple, documented, witnessed by 200 phones and a crowd that would never forget. The old loser wasn't old, wasn't a loser. He was a father who'd finally taught his son the lesson he'd needed to learn, and he'd won. We didn't go back to the motel. Evelyn drove us to a diner on 82nd, the kind of place that stays open until 2 a.m. and doesn't ask questions. We sat in a corner booth, and I ordered coffee and pie. My hands were still wrapped, knuckles swollen under the cloth. "You did it," Evelyn said. She wasn't crying, but her voice was thick. "Rick, you actually did it." "Yeah. How do you feel?" I thought about that. Took a sip of coffee. "Good. I feel good." "No regrets?" "None." She reached across the table, put her hand over mine. "That's my man." My phone had been buzzing since we left the gym. I pulled it out, looked at the screen. Texts, missed calls, notifications from social media apps I barely used. One text from Tommy. "Proud of you, champ. Drinks on me next time." One voicemail from Dave Brennan. "Mr. Mallory, that was incredible. Listen, we're getting calls about doing a follow-up event, maybe a charity bout. Give me a call when you can." And dozens, literally dozens, of messages from numbers I didn't recognize. People who'd been at the gym, people who'd seen the videos, people who wanted a piece of the story. I put the phone face down on the table. "They're going to make this a thing," Evelyn said. "You know that, right? The videos are already everywhere. Someone's probably making memes right now. Let them. Brandon's going to see all of it." "Good." She studied me for a moment. "You're not worried about him retaliating?" "No. Why not?" I leaned back, let my shoulders relax against the vinyl booth. "Because he can't. Not without looking worse than he already does. Every move he makes now, people will see it through tonight's lens. He pushed his father. He mocked him publicly. He got beat in front of everyone. If he comes after me now, he's not the victim. He's the bully getting what he deserved." Evelyn smiled. "You really did think this through. I had help. We made a good team. We did." The pie arrived. Apple, warm, with a scoop of vanilla ice cream melting on top. I ate slowly, savoring it. Everything tasted better now. Everything felt sharper, clearer, more real. My phone buzzed again. I almost ignored it, but something made me look. Text from Brandon. "We need to talk." I showed it to Evelyn. "What are you going to say?" she asked. "Nothing. Not tonight." "And tomorrow?" "Tomorrow, I'm going to find an apartment. Something small, something mine. And I'm going to start living my life again." "What about Brandon?" I thought about him in that ring on his knees, finally seeing me for the first time in years. Brandon's going to have to figure out his own life. I'm done carrying him. Evelyn squeezed my hand. "I'm proud of you, Rick. Not for the fight. For walking away from that house in the first place. That took guts. It took him shoving me. No, it took you deciding you were worth more than that." We finished our pie, finished our coffee. Outside, the night was cold and clear, the kind of November night where you can see your breath, and the stars seem closer than they should be. Evelyn drove me back to the motel, pulled into the parking lot, cut the engine. "You want me to stay?" she asked. "I'm okay." "You sure?" "Yeah, get some sleep. I'll call you tomorrow." She kissed me on the cheek. "You're tougher than I remembered." "I've always been tough. Just forgot for a while." I got out, waved as she drove away, then walked to my room. The broken compass was still clipped to my waistband. I unclipped it, set it on the nightstand, and looked at it. The glass was cracked, the casing was scratched, but the needle still pointed north. I stripped off the hand wraps, wincing as the cloth pulled away from my swollen knuckles, ran cold water over them in the sink, watched the water swirl down the drain, carrying the heat and pain with it. Then I lay down on the bed, still in my gym clothes, and stared at the ceiling. My phone buzzed again. I picked it up. Another text from Brandon. "Dad, please." I turned the phone off, closed my eyes, and for the first time in 8 months, I slept without tension in my jaw, without anger in my chest, without the weight of someone else's disrespect pressing down on me. I slept like a winner. Morning came with weak sunlight through the motel curtains. My body ached. Shoulders, ribs, knuckles, places I'd forgotten could hurt. But it was a clean ache. An earned ache. The kind that reminds you you're still alive and still capable. I showered, dressed in clean clothes, and checked my phone. 23 new messages, 16 missed calls. And one voicemail from Maddie. I played it. Her voice was different. Smaller. "Rick, we didn't mean... Look, things got out of hand. Brandon's really upset. People are saying awful things about us online. Can we please talk? Please?" I deleted it. There was a coffee shop 2 blocks away. I walked there, bought a large black coffee and a bagel, and sat at a table by the window. People passed on the sidewalk, living their lives, wrapped up in their own dramas. None of them knew me. None of them cared. It felt perfect. My phone rang. Evelyn. "Morning," I said. "Morning. Have you looked?" "Looked at what?" "The videos. Rick, you're everywhere. Someone compiled all the clips, the audio stingers, the fight, your speech at the end. It's got 2 million views already. 2 million. And climbing. People are calling you the old timer. It's a whole thing. There are think pieces about generational respect and... Rick, are you listening?" "I'm listening." "How do you feel about all this?" I took a sip of coffee, watched a young couple argue outside a bus stop, their body language angry and tense, watched them walk away in opposite directions, watched the bus pull up and leave without either of them. "I feel like I did what I needed to do," I said, "and now I'm moving on." "Good. That's good. Listen, I've been looking at apartments for you. There's a 1-bedroom in Southeast, near the Jade District. Reasonable rent, clean building, available next week. Send me the address. I'll go look at it today." "Already did. And Rick, there's one more thing. Brandon called me last night, after you left. He was crying." I didn't say anything. "He said he didn't realize how far things had gone, said he got caught up in Maddie's ambitions, in trying to prove he was more than just your son. He wants to apologize. He can want. Rick, Evelyn, he shoved me. He mocked me publicly. He tried to humiliate me in front of 200 people. And you know what? If I hadn't trained, if I hadn't prepared, if I'd just walked into that ring soft and old and defeated, he would have done it. He would have put me on my knees and laughed. So no, he doesn't get to cry his way out of this. I'm not saying forgive him. I'm just saying, eventually, you might want to have a conversation. Maybe. Eventually. But not today. Not this week. Not until he understands that respect isn't something you perform when it's convenient. It's something you live. Evelyn was quiet for a moment. Then, "Okay, I'll tell him you need time." "Thanks. What are you going to do today?" "Go look at that apartment. Maybe stop by the gym, thank Tommy. Get my life back in order." "Call me later?" "I will." I hung up, finished my coffee, walked back to the motel, got in my car, and drove to Southeast. The apartment was perfect. Small, clean, hardwood floors, big windows that let in light. The landlord was a Vietnamese woman in her 60s who looked at me with sharp, assessing eyes. "You work?" she asked. Retired building inspector. I do side jobs, roof checks, small repairs. You quiet? Very. You pay on time? Always. She nodded. Okay. First month, last month deposit. You can move in Monday. I wrote the check on the spot. From there, I drove to Knockout Fitness. The gym was quiet. Mid-morning, only a few people working the bags. Tommy was in the office, going through paperwork. Look who it is, he said, grinning. The old-timer himself. Wanted to say thanks. For what? You did the work. I just pointed you in the right direction. Still, couldn't have done it without you. He waved me off. You could have, but I'm glad I helped. How you feeling? Sore. Good sore or bad sore? Good sore. Even better. You sticking around? What do you mean? I mean, you gonna keep training? Or was this a one-time thing? I thought about it. Thought about the feel of the canvas under my feet, the rhythm of the rounds, the clarity that came with physical challenge. Yeah, I think I'll keep training. Good. You got potential for an old guy. I laughed. Thanks. Seriously, though, you handled yourself well last night. Clean, smart, disciplined. That's rare. Most people your age, they'd try to fight like they're still 25. You fought like you're 58, and you're okay with that. I am okay with it. Shows. He handed me a card. That's my cell. You ever want to work together more seriously, not competition, just fitness, just staying sharp, give me a call. I do private sessions. I took the card. I will. Thanks, Tommy. Anytime, champ. I left the gym feeling lighter. Drove around the city for a while, relearning neighborhoods, remembering what it felt like to move through the world without weight on my shoulders. My phone buzzed. Another text from Brandon. I'm sorry. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I am. I almost deleted it. Almost. But something stopped me. Maybe it was the tone. Maybe it was the simplicity of it. Maybe it was just that I'd won, and I could afford to be generous. I texted back, I know you are, but sorry isn't enough. Show me you've changed. Show me you understand. Then we'll talk. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again, then, how? Figure it out. You're 31 years old. Act like it. No response after that. I drove back to the motel, packed my things, and checked out a week early. The clerk didn't ask why, just processed the refund and wished me a good day. I spent that night in a hotel near the new apartment. Nicer, cleaner. A reward for myself. Ordered room service. Watched mindless television. Slept in a real bed with clean sheets and pillows that didn't smell like industrial detergent. And somewhere in the middle of the night, I woke up smiling. Because I'd won. Not just the fight, not just the moment in the ring. I'd won my life back. Monday morning, I moved into the apartment. Didn't have much. A few boxes of clothes, some tools, the broken compass, a framed photo of Evelyn and me from our wedding day. It all fit in 3 trips from the car. The place felt empty, but not lonely. Empty like a canvas. Empty like possibility. I spent the morning assembling the furniture I'd bought at IKEA. Bed frame, small table, 2 chairs. The instructions were simple, the work meditative. By noon, I had a functional living space. Evelyn stopped by with lunch. Sandwiches from a deli downtown, chips, bottled water. It's nice, she said, looking around. Small, but nice. It's mine. That's what matters. We ate at the new table. She told me about her week at the legal aid office, about clients and cases and the grinding work of helping people navigate systems designed to keep them out. I told her about my plans. Small repair jobs I'd lined up, a roof inspection scheduled for Thursday, maybe picking up some steady work with a property management company that needed an experienced eye. Normal stuff. Life stuff. The kind of conversation we used to have before everything went sideways. Have you heard from Brandon? She asked. One text. Asked how he could show me he's changed. What did you tell him? To figure it out himself. That's fair. She paused. Maddie called me yesterday, asked if there was anything she could do to make things right. What did you say? I told her the truth, that making things right starts with taking responsibility, not with asking what will fix the problem quickest. How'd she take that? Not well. She started talking about how hard this has been for them, how people are being cruel online, how their reputations are destroyed. And I told her that reputations are built on behavior, and their behavior earned exactly what they got. I smiled. Cold. True. We finished lunch. Evelyn helped me unpack a few boxes, then kissed me on the cheek and left for work. I spent the afternoon exploring the neighborhood. Found a grocery store 2 blocks away, a hardware store 3 blocks, a bar that looked divey in the best way. Talked to a few neighbors, the old man downstairs who'd lived there 40 years, the young couple next door with a newborn who apologized in advance for any noise. It felt like starting over, and starting over felt good. That evening, my phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Mr. Mallory, this is Jake Brennan. I was at the fight Thursday night. Jake, Brandon's friend, the podcast kid. What do you want, Jake? I wanted to say I was wrong. About you. We all were, and I'm sorry. I didn't respond. Waited. Brandon's not doing good, he said. He's barely leaving his apartment. Maddie's been losing followers. People are unsubscribing, calling her out. And I know that's not your problem, but I thought you should know. Why? Because they're your family, and family is complicated. Jake, I appreciate the call, but Brandon and Maddie made their choices. They chose to mock me publicly. They chose to make a spectacle. Now they're dealing with the consequences. That's not cruelty. That's just how the world works. Yeah, I get that. But for what it's worth, I think Brandon understands now. What he did. What he lost. Good. Maybe he'll be better for it. Maybe. We hung up. I stood at the window, looking out at the street below. A bus passed. A cyclist weaved through traffic. Life moving forward, indifferent and constant. My phone buzzed. Text from Tommy. Beer tomorrow? My treat. I texted back. Yeah. What time? 7? See you then. The next day, I worked. Checked a roof in northeast Portland, found 3 spots where the flashing was failing, wrote up a report. The owner was grateful, paid cash, asked if I could come back next month for a follow-up. That evening, I met Tommy at the divey bar I'd found. It was called The Breakaway, wood paneling and Budweiser signs, and a pool table that tilted slightly to the left. Tommy was already there, 2 beers on the table. You look relaxed, he said. I am. Good. That's the goal, right? Do the hard thing, then relax. We drank. Talked about boxing, about the gym, about life. Tommy told me about his daughter, a lawyer in Seattle, successful, busy, barely calls. I told him about Brandon, about the gap between what you hope your kids become and what they choose. They make their own choices, Tommy said. That's the thing nobody tells you about being a parent. You can guide them, teach them, love them, but in the end, they make their own choices, and you gotta live with that. Yeah. But what you did, taking a stand, that's rare. Most people just swallow it. Just take the disrespect and move on. You didn't. I got lucky. Luck's got nothing to do with it. You prepared, you trained, you made a plan. That's not luck. That's will. I raised my beer. To Will. He clinked his bottle against mine. To Will. We stayed until closing. Shook hands outside, went our separate ways. And as I drove home, to my apartment, my space, my life, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Pride, not arrogance, not ego, just simple, clean pride in who I was and what I'd done. The old-timer had won. And he wasn't done yet. 3 weeks passed. November turned into December, the air crisp and cold, the city strung with holiday lights. I settled into routines, morning coffee at the same shop, afternoon work on various roofs and small repairs, Evenings training with Tommy or reading in my apartment. Evelyn and I had dinner twice a week, sometimes at her place, sometimes at mine. We didn't talk about getting back together, didn't need to. We were figuring out what we were now, and that was enough. Brandon texted occasionally, short messages. Working on myself. Enrolled in a conflict resolution course. Maddie and I are in therapy. I responded when I felt like it. Good. Keep going. That's a start. No long conversations, no reconciliation, just acknowledgement that he was trying. One Saturday afternoon, I was at the hardware store buying sandpaper when I heard a voice behind me. Rick? I turned. Brandon. He looked different, thinner, tired, less cocky. His hair needed a cut. His clothes were plain, no logos, no flash. Hey, I said. Hey. He shifted his weight, uncomfortable. I didn't know you'd be here. I live 2 blocks away now. Right. Yeah. Evelyn mentioned that. We stood there, 2 men surrounded by aisles of screws and paint samples, not sure what to say. You look good, he said finally. Thanks. I mean it. You look, I don't know, lighter. I am. He nodded, looked down. I've been wanting to talk to you, somewhere private, but I didn't want to push. I'm not ready for that conversation yet. I know, I get it. But when you are, will you let me try? To explain? To apologize properly? I studied him. Saw the kid I'd raised somewhere under the man he'd become. Saw the shame, the regret, the slow, painful process of growing up too late. Maybe, I said. Eventually. That's fair. Brandon. Yeah? You hurt me. You and Maddie both. And it's going to take time before I trust you again. Maybe years, maybe never. But the fact that you're trying, that's something. I'm trying. I swear I'm trying. Good. Keep trying. I paid for my sandpaper and left. Didn't look back. That evening, I got a text from Dave Brennan. Hey, Rick, got another fight night coming up in January. Any interest in doing a demo bout? Not competitive, just showing people clean technique. Pays $200. I thought about it. Thought about the ring, the crowd, the clarity of 3 rounds and a bell. Maybe, I texted back. Let me think about it. No pressure. Just wanted to offer. Later that night, I sat at my table with the brass compass in front of me. The glass was still cracked, but I'd cleaned the casing, oiled the hinge. The needle pointed north. My phone buzzed. Text from Evelyn. Dinner tomorrow? Yeah. My place? Perfect. I'll bring wine. I put the phone down, looked around my apartment. Small, clean, mine. Looked at the compass. Looked at my hands, still swollen in places but healing. And I thought about the gym. About Thursday night. About that moment when Brandon went to one knee and the referee counted and the crowd understood, finally, what they'd really been watching. I thought about Maddie's voice in the speakers. Finally, the old loser is gone. We are free. I thought about my response. I'm not an old loser. I'm your father. And I thought about the aftermath, the videos, the attention, the slow, satisfying collapse of their narrative. They'd wanted to make me the joke. Instead, they'd made themselves the punchline. And I'd walked away the winner.